A sleep consultant messaged me and she'd been building her business for 18 months. She had professionals referring to her, and to market her business, she was doing a whole range of things. She was on Instagram, LinkedIn, doing outreach, posting in Facebook groups, doing Q&As. She was doing all of it. And she said to me, I can't seem to build my pipeline. I need more clients, but I don't know how to get them consistently. And having worked with hundreds of sleep consultants and baby care specialists, I can say this is the question that I get asked every single week. So if you're stuck in the same place, this video is for you. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand why being everywhere is keeping you invisible, the exact threshold before any strategy works, and why people often quit before they hit that point, and what you actually need to commit to so you can finally stop just second guessing yourself. All right, so let's get into it. So going back to that sleep consultant who messaged me, I asked her, well, how many pediatricians have you reached out to? And she said, not too many. And I said, well, how consistently are you posting on Instagram? And she said, well, I do it when I have time. Maybe it's twice a week, sometimes it's less. And then she said, I just need someone to tell me what I should be focusing on. How often should I post? What do I need to track? What do I need to do? What's the answer? And I get it. We all want that. Just tell me the platform, tell me the posting schedule, like give me the magic formula. But here's the thing, the activity is just one part of it. So what's the real question here? It's not which platform, it's are you willing to commit to one thing long enough to actually know if it works? And honestly, I recognized her frustration immediately because I used to ask the exact same questions. In the early days of Baby M, I was doing the same thing. I was reaching out to agencies, I was networking, creating content, I'm doing all the things. And I remember complaining to a mentor that I wasn't growing fast enough and saying that I was doing everything and nothing was working. And I remember this person saying, well, how many agencies have you contacted? And I thought for a second, I remember this very clearly, and I said about 10. And he said, this morning? To which I said, no, like over the last 3 months. And I remember this guy laughing, and honestly, it stung a little bit because in my head, I was working so hard. But he said, you've reached out to 10 agencies in 3 months and you're wondering why you're not growing. And you know what the frustrating part was? I genuinely thought I was doing the work. I thought I was showing up. I thought I was putting in the effort. But then he said something that kind of shifted how I saw it. And he said, Emma, it's a numbers game and you're not playing it. And I realized he was right. I was just doing enough to feel productive, but not enough to actually get results. And so if you're in that place right now, if you're working hard, but you're not seeing results, I see you because that was me. Okay, so why wasn't it working? Let me show you the math. You reach out to 50 potential partners. Maybe 10 respond. Of those 10, maybe 3 will actually meet with you. Of those 3, maybe 1 will start referring clients. And that first referral, that might take 1 to 2 months to come through after you've built that relationship. And I'd reached out to 10 people over 3 months. I hadn't even gotten through the first filter. And here's the thing. The same pattern was happening with a sleep consultant. She was spreading herself too thin. And so let's say she had 20 hours a month for marketing. She was splitting it like this. So it was basically 6 hours on Instagram, 4 hours on LinkedIn, 4 hours on Facebook, 2 hours on networking. And she'd been working on a lead magnet. So she'd taken about 4 hours on that as well. Now, here's what most people don't realize. All of those activities, well, they require different brain space. They require different skills, different energy. And there's actual research on this. When you switch between tasks, that's called context switching. So your brain loses momentum every single time. And you're not just splitting your time, you're losing focus with every switch. And I kind of see it like this. It's like trying to cook 5 different meals at once. You're constantly running back and forth between the stove, the oven, the cutting board, and nothing gets your full attention. Nothing comes out right. But here's the bigger issue. Every strategy needs 15 to 20 hours minimum per month to work, to gather the data, to build traction, to get visibility. And she gave most of those activities 4 hours. She didn't give any of them enough time to succeed. And this is where most people get stuck. They are working hard. They are putting in the effort. but they're not working at the volume or consistency needed to actually know if something works. And that's not a personal failing. And that's just not understanding the math. And so here's what I learned from that mentor, and this changed everything for me. There's a minimum threshold before any strategy works, and most people quit before they hit it. So why do we quit before the threshold? Well, I think there are two big reasons, and honestly, I have been guilty of both of them. Now, the first one is that we're not doing enough to get real data, and let me explain what I mean. You reach out to 10 pediatricians, a couple say no, a few don't respond, and you think, this isn't working. But here's the problem, 10 isn't enough. You haven't done it enough times to know if it's the strategy or just like normal variance. So for referral partnerships, you need to reach out to enough people to see a pattern. There's probably not going to be 10. Probably not going to be 20. For me, it took 50 contacts before I could actually see, okay, this is how many people respond. This is how many people, are willing to meet with me. And this is how many people are likely to become partners, because I've tracked it. Now, you might need 30, you might need 100, but you need enough to see the pattern. And same with Instagram. You post 20 times and nothing happens, but the algorithm needs data to understand what your content is about and who to show it to. So with 10 or 20 posts, the algorithm is probably still guessing. Now with 60 to 80 posts, let's say over 3 to 4 months, the algorithm is going to start to figure you out. And your idle clients are going to start to see you repeatedly. And most people quit at 10 contacts, 20 posts. They quit before they have enough data to even know if it's working. Now, here's the second thing, and this is rejection. So you reach out to 10 pediatricians, 8 don't respond, 2 say not interested right now, and it feels personal. So you stop. And I used to take things really, really personally. And here's what I had to learn. If you reach out to 10 people and 2 people respond, that doesn't mean rejection. That's just the ratio. So to get 10 people to respond, you might need to reach out to 50 people or 100 people. Those no's, they aren't rejection. They're just part of the path to the yeses. And most people try to avoid the no's when what you actually need to do is just get through them faster. And the faster you get your no's, the faster you'll get to the yeses. And that's a beautiful reframe that I like to think. And I can think of 2 key relationships in my business where I was told no over and over again. And eventually came the yes. And those relationships are still blooming 10 years later. I just needed to put the reps in. I needed to get to know these people in different ways. So everything can change. So here's what you actually need to do instead. First, I want you to track what you're already doing. For 2 to 4 weeks minimum, just write down every marketing activity. Where are you spending time? What's bringing in clients? And most people skip this because they think they already know, but your assumptions are often wrong most of the time. So you can't pick the right strategy without knowing what's already working. Now, the second thing I want you to do is look at the data. Like, where are your clients actually coming from? Not where do you think they're coming from, where are they actually coming from? Now, the third thing is to pick one strategy, just one thing that you're willing to actually do, one thing that you're willing to stick with. Now, the fourth thing is commit to the volume. Now, this is where most people fail, and not because they pick the wrong strategy, but because they don't do enough of it. And if it's professional referrals, 50 to 60 contacts over 12 weeks. That's 5 per week. That's 1 per day if you work 5 days a week. 1 email, 1 DM, 1 coffee meeting. That's it. That is doable. And if it's Instagram, 60 to 80 posts over 12 weeks, about 5 to 6 per week. Pick one, commit to the numbers. Now, fifth, track it. Write down every single contact, every post, every response. And this applies to whatever activity you choose. Social media, networking, referrals, email, the principle stays the same. So track it, commit to the volume, and get the data, because without data, there's no way to know if something isn't working or just hasn't worked yet. So the natural move is to try something new, which means in most cases, starting over again. And we don't want to do that. Now, when you track, you can see if you're making progress, even when it doesn't feel like it, and you know whether to keep going or to adjust. You stop second guessing, and that's it. That's being a scientist. Track, pick one, commit, get data. Like, pipelines aren't found, they're built. They're built brick by brick, week by week. And I know you might be thinking like, Emma, 12 weeks sounds like forever. But here's the thing, building a client pipeline is not like finding a sparkly shortcut. It's like hitting the gym. Like, you don't get abs by doing 5 different workouts at once. You just pick a program. You just show up consistently, you track your reps, you trust the process, and you get stronger, even when it feels really boring at times. Now, most people quit before the results kick in and they say, I guess it just didn't work for me, or they blame the strategy or whatever it is, but they just didn't give it enough time to work. And so if you're feeling scattered right now, if you're trying all the things, if you're on Instagram, Facebook groups, lead magnets, referrals, you're looking at all the things out there and nothing's working, I promise you, you don't need another tactic. You just need to be a scientist. Track what you're already doing. See where your clients are actually coming from. I really believe that success leaves clues. And commit to the volume. Get the data. And stop building castles out of sand. Like, lay the bricks. And if this resonates with you, I would love you to comment below. Comment, I'm committing. And I know it can feel overwhelming. And maybe you're thinking, well, what happens after I build the pipeline? What's next? Well, here's what I see happen. Most sleep consultants then get to a point where they have that consistent pipeline and they start getting the clients more regularly and they hit an income ceiling. And it's usually around the 2 to 3K a month. And not because they're not skilled, but because often the one-to-one model itself has a ceiling. And so if you're curious about that, or if you're already at that stage, I made a video breaking down why that happens and what you can do about it. I'll link it below and you can find it here, because first you just need to build the pipeline and then you need to scale what you're doing. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.